This lesson is called Relevance, Getting the Right Stuff. And as we look at our research map again, just to kind of keep track of what step we're on, we've already done our thinking about what we want to research. We've been working on our research questions. The last lesson that we took care of was searching for sources. So we brainstormed our search terms. We were saving sources that would possibly work as sources to help with our research. And so today we are spending our time trying to find relevant information. So that will be our focus for this lesson. And so our purpose for today, we will understand that we find relevant information by summarizing our reading and thinking about how information relates to our research question. We'll demonstrate our understanding by reading our sources, reviewing our summaries, and determining which of our sources are relevant to our research question. So let's talk a little bit about what relevance means. This is a word that we may not be all that familiar with. So information that is related to your topic or answers your research question is relevant. If you think about related and relevant, they kind of sound the same. They kind of go together. So that might be a good thing to help you remember what that means. But information that answers your question is relevant information. When I think of relevant information, I kind of visualize a target or a dartboard in my mind. Any information that's about my topic in general is somewhere on the board, but only the stuff that really answers my question is in the center or the bullseye. And that's what I really want. Figuring this out takes some time and some thought. In order to tell when something is relevant, there's really just two steps. So first I need to know what my information is about. What is it saying? I have to have read my information well enough in order to summarize it. If someone actually asked me what this source was about, I could tell them my summary. I could probably even show examples or evidence from the text. And that's how I would know what this is actually about. And then once I've done that, once I've summarized my information, the second thing I need to do is I need to think about if this relates to my topic. For example, if my source is talking about baseball and my topic is about football, my source is obviously not relevant. In order to be relevant, my source needs to relate back to my question and what I'm wondering about. So today our task will be to see if our sources that we've already found really are relevant. Some of this might already sound familiar to you, and that's because we've already worked on some of this in our earlier lesson. When we talked about creating keywords and searching, we were already thinking about some of these things. We also summarized our sources that we found so that we would know what they were about. So today we're going to add to what we've already done to make sure that we have relevant information to use for our research. All right, so the process for this, the procedure, the steps. We are going to look through our sources one at a time. We're going to read the source that we've already linked in the red column. A reminder as you're looking through your source, you might want to check and see if your keywords show up frequently. Then you're going to read the summary that you wrote in the purple column. And based on what you've read, you may need to edit just a little bit. Sometimes it takes a couple times through our research information before we really understand what our source is saying. So the first three steps, looking at our sources, reading through the sources, reading through our summary, they are a little bit of review, but it's important to go over this just to be sure. So we'll review our work, then we'll go and make our decision. So I'm going to show you, in order to make our decision, the thing we need to do, we need to think based on what the information in the summary says. Is this source actually relevant? Once we've done that, we'll fill out the green column on our research journal. So let me show you a little bit more what this looks like. I'm going to pull up my research journal, and my topic is about the attacks of 9/11, and what I really want to know is how has security changed based on the events of 9/11. So are we safer now than we were before these attacks happened? And so I've got a couple articles here that I want to just double check. And this will be the same process that you'll use. We want to open our source again, reread the source, and then compare it to our summary to make sure it's correct. So my first source talks about the United States after 9/11, 6 things that have changed. And as I look through that source, it's talking about changes to airports, changes to immigration, changes to domestic spying, changes on trust in the government. And so I'm going to look back over my purple column now, double check that my summary that I've written is still accurate based on what I've read. And so my summary says this article lists 6 important effects that the 9/11 attacks had on the United States. These include airport security, immigration, spying, and trust in the government. And that was accurate to what I just read. So now I need to think about if this article actually answers my question. So if my question is about what the effects were of 9/11 and what's happened after 9/11, especially talking about security, those are the things I need to look for in my summary and in my article. And so as I look at this, here's right from my summary, it says effects of the 9/11 attacks. One of the effects is airport security. Another one of those is immigration. Those are both directly related to security. So as I think about this, the fact that this article talks about airport security, the fact that this article talks about immigration, the fact that it highlights 6 important effects of things that happened after 9/11, this article would be relevant. So then my last step is to write in my green column why this is relevant. So my article is relevant because it talks about the effects of 9/11 and it talks about security, which are both things that I'm wanting to know. All right, so then I'm going to look at my next example. Again, I'm going to go through my 4-step process. I'm going to look at my source. I'm going to reread my source. I'm going to reread my summary, and then I'm going to think about, does this actually help answer my question or not? So the second source I have is from this website, and it's called Information for 9/11 Family Members. And so I see my keyword 9/11, and as I look at this source, in the very first line here, it says, this is a section of our website for the loved ones of those killed in the attacks of September 11, 2001. And I see how we can leave birthday roses for people. There's names on the memorial, different facts like that. So I'm going to check my summary based on what I've reread. And so in my summary, it says this website has information for family members of the people killed in 9/11 attacks. There's information about ways families can remember their loved ones. That summary seems correct. So I don't need to edit this at all. But now I need to think about if this helps answer my question. So again, I'm thinking how my question is about the effects of the 9/11 attacks and any changes that have been made to security processes in the United States since then. And what I realize is, even though this website talks about the 9/11 attacks, it's talking about information for family members of victims. It's not really talking about security at all. So this website is not relevant because it talks about victims' families. Or doesn't talk about the effects either. So that is my process. So now what I'd like you to do is to follow these same steps on your own. Open your research journal, read your first source, double check your summary, and then the most important part, in the green column, think about and write if your source is relevant, why or why not.